Hi everyone and welcome back to the Colour Cave where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem. I am rather excited to be here with you and with Colin Thompson's colouring book. We don't see much of this colouring book. It can be quite difficult to get a hold of and the paper is not to everyone's liking. It is very toothy. So I did mention when we were talking about colouring that I would probably use Inktense pencils on this and it's the doors, and I don't know why but I just had this overwhelming urge to use Inktense pencils. I have decided to just call upon all my water soluble everythingness that's not actually paint. So I have got the Graphitint pocket pan set here. So they Derwent do Graphitint pencils which are very nice. I like them a lot and they do this in a paint pan set, and they also do some of their Inktense colours in this paint pan form as well. So I've got that. It gets better. I've also got my Neocolors. These are water soluble crayons for those of you who are not familiar, and they're fabulous fun too. And last but certainly not, I've got a new mug as well. Put my tea in. I can't tip it up but it's got strawberries on the side. And I also have the bumper Derwent pencil case. Again, some of you will be familiar with this. Most of my Derwent pencils are in here. The only ones that are not are my Derwent light fast pencils. Okay, so in here are the Graphitint pencils, and also the ones with the blue barrels are the Inktense pencils, which you'll probably be more familiar with. So we have all this at our disposal. I also have the Derwent water soluble metallic pencils, which is these ones here. I've only got a wee handful of them. I don't think you get them in particularly big sets anyway. But yes, so that is what we have at our disposal today. This is not going to be an instructional video. Normally my colouring videos are sort of half tutorial, half chattiness, which is when we came to the realisation that chatorial was actually a word. This is me going to be basically going on a whim and being like, oh, I think that door should be yellow. So there's not really going to be a lot of instructional facets to this. So just grab whatever it is you're colouring, come and listen to me witter on. Okay, for the water part of this, I have my trusty set of water brushes. These are the Zig H2O brushes. I talk about these all the time. Good water flow, nice control, and some scrap paper, and this is just to wipe my brush off in between colours so we don't cross-contaminate. So I think what I'm going to do with this image, if I just go back to the previous page, you can see there is this bookshelf structure that runs throughout the whole double page. I think I'm going to continue that on and try and keep that as a constant, because this framework does actually run all the way across both of these pages, so that might be quite nice to keep it like that. Okay, yeah, so I think I'll do that, but what I'll do is I'm going to leave that till the end, and I think I'm going to make it quite a dark wood, whereas this is obviously some sort of cheap pine going on here. I think we'll have that little bit of variation because the next one is a different type of image. Yeah, so we're not going to have much of that in the next one. Okay. So I'm just trying to find out where I want to start, and the door that I want to start with is this one here that's got the 2 bolts and the bit of paper on it, and I think that is going to be like a sort of bottle green type door. So I think we'll start with some probably meadow or green grey from the Graphitint set. I'm just going to get some ink flow going with my medium brush here. This is absolutely dry as a bone. This one hasn't been used for a long time. I tend to favour, see if I'm just grabbing stuff, honestly I tend to use the teeny weeny one or the really big one. I don't often use, unless I'm doing backgrounds. This one here is like it's like a flat tip that's on it. I use that if I'm doing backgrounds, but apart from that I don't use that one very much, so it's usually the big one and the little one. There we go, so I've got nice water flow there. I can just put the cap on the end. So I'm going to grab this meadow here and just see if that's where I want my starting point to be. Yeah, why not? The reason I wanted to use this and not traditional paint is, you know, we've had this conversation before. Much as it's okay and it's nice to use things like this, you have to remember that the paper in these books most of the time was not designed with water soluble media in mind, and you may get to a point where you struggle. So we don't want to ruin the paper or the pages or anything like that. So it's kind of important that we keep the water to a minimum. And by using a water brush, that's, I find, the best way to do it, because you've got lots of control over your actual water flow. Now I'm moving quickly here because once this stuff starts to dry, you can't reactivate it in the same way that you would with watercolour. It's much more difficult to shift, especially the Inktense. Not so much with the Graphitint here, but it can still be a bit of a pain in the hoop. The trick is to go quick. I think this was exactly the right colour to do this with because I really wanted that kind of like grotty door feeling. I think we might have got there with that. I can see that starting to buckle the paper already. Okay. I don't think it's going to do any damage on the other side, no. This is quite an interesting door here as well, and I think that this door is going to be yellow. I feel like yellow is the way forward. So I'm gonna grab the lemon yellow Neocolor for this one. I can zoom in a little bit, thank you. I don't know if I want a really even colour on this or not. Now the nice thing about the Neocolors is that you can work with these. These are much more flexible when it comes to reactivating and things. That obviously comes with its negative side as well, because if you are quite happy with coverage or, you know, the layers or the way that colours have mixed and you still want to put something on top, it can be quite easy to disturb the lower layers without meaning to, and that can be a little bit of a frustration sometimes. I kind of feel like all these doors are worn. The brush just went and spat everything out. Oh my goodness, the last thing I was using this water brush for must have had glitter on it, because that has left glitter in the bottom left hand corner. I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not, but I'm going to zoom in and try. Oh, that almost looks lime green on the camera as well. Yeah, down here, there's glitter. Oh, lordy. Okay, so I'm going to come down to this little trapdoor here. See, I'm literally going on a whim here. I'm not, there's nothing sensible about this. I've got autumn brown here as well. So with this one, as I mentioned, these can dry fairly quickly. Because this is planks here, that gives us a little bit of manoeuvrability. You know, we've got a bit of breathing space because we can go a plank at a time. For me as well, obviously, I'm always going to work right to left on the count of being left-handed. So don't stick my hand in things. It's not always the case, to be fair. It has been known, but generally it makes a lot more sense, especially if you're working with wet media like this. This is the smallest water brush. This is the one that I favour most often. I like teeny tiny brushes. So this is, there's really sort of two steps to this kind of colouring, and the first step is what we're doing just now, and it's getting those base colours down. I don't even know if I want it to be aesthetically pleasing as a whole, because it is a very sort of hodgepodge kind of situation we've got here. So I don't think I want any sort of uniformity or you know, colour gradient type thing, because I did think about doing a rainbow effect, you know, doing like the colour spectrum, but there's too many doors with a lot of character here, so I've vetoed that quite fairly early on. This door up here is giving me some sort of vibe as well, and I feel like it's a washed out turquoise colour, you know, like really faded paint. I wonder if the ocean, no, I think we might have to get an Inktense pencil out for this. I've got my swatch book here as well because I knew I would need it at some stage, and here are the Inktense pencils here. That brings me to another point, just while I remember. I will post this on the community tab on the actual channel page. I'm thinking about having another swatch and watch live stream next week. I don't know if that's something you'll be interested in. The last one we did the Castle Art Gold pencils because I realised I hadn't swatched them out. I have a full set of the Caran Pablo pencils as well that also need swatched out. So I was thinking about doing those. If that's something you fancy watching, if you could indicate to me down in the comments, because again, if I've got enough people, it will be a daytime stream and it will be during the week. It will be on my day off from my proper job. So if that's something you're interested in, if you could just give me a little wave in fact, give me a little pink other hand in the comments, that would be great, because if we get enough people together, obviously I'll do it. Failing that, I'll just sit and be miserable and swatch them myself. Anyway, right, I'm looking for a turquoisey colour, so maybe sea blue or the green aquamarine might be more what's in my mind. Like, that's really difficult to explain. I can see the colour in my mind's eye, but and it's almost green aquamarine, but not quite. Let's see if we can find it. So I'm going to work on this panel first. I just love the fact, like, these doors, some of them are just really grubby and grotty, and I like that because it kind of reminds me of all the doors around the farm, because nearly all of them are weathered, you know, some way or another. Yeah, that's like that. Some bits are really washed out. Yeah. And this is why I like the Inktense pencils as well, because you can half treat them as pencils, half treat them as paint, and you can get some really uneven colours with it, but like in a nice way, not in a terrible way. Right, I think how are we doing down here? This is taking a long time to dry. Wow. Okay, I think we're gonna have to be really, really careful with this. These curtains in here, I just want them to be a cream colour. And that's something we don't really get in water-soluble colours for obvious reasons. So I've just grabbed my trusty star pencil case here. This is now where my polychromos live, and I'm just going to grab the ivory pencil there, or the cream pencil, it doesn't really matter. There we go, so I've got the cream pencil. And I'm just going to, look how sharp that is, ooh. Sharpen my pencils. I just want to add some of that in there. Superb. And then in behind that, I want that to be really dark blue. So I'm going to grab the ocean blue for this. The dark indigo. Let's go dark indigo. So again, this is Graphitint. And I'm trying to avoid the highlights that are on the window there for now. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this to dry. And then, once it's dry, I am going to take a really watered down version of the blue indigo and just go over the top of it. Okay, how's this doing? Okay, so our first door down here is dry. And I'm going to pick out the light olive Inktense pencil. And this is going to be like step 2. I said, you know, there was kind of 3 steps. Step 2 is to add in detail and texture with your pencil. Now, it's up to you if you feel like it needs more actual colour down, you know, if you want to add another layer and reactivate it with water. I personally wouldn't advise it on this paper. Again, just what I mentioned before about colouring books, they're not really designed for this. So what I'm doing now is I'm just adding in some texture with this pencil. So the colour that I've picked is essentially just a darker version of what I've already put down. And when I'm adding this in, I'm starting at the places where the artist has left hatching, because this is kind of like grayscale. There's lots of shading and hatching there, so that's where you want your darkest parts to be. So if you're going to add in some more colour or some shadow, that is the place to start. Obviously you don't have to stay there. I mean, I am going to add in a little bit extra here and there, just to make it extra grotty, you know. I kind of get the feeling that there's warning signs on that door there. It's like, yeah, you don't want to go in there because it's bolted and it's got a catch on it. Maybe there's a little monster. Maybe this is the door that Gary Gobstopper gets locked behind when he loses his temper. He was leaning a little bit crazy, because this door is almost Gary Gobstopper colour. See? It's all coming together. I don't know if y'all just heard that thump in there. That was Jock coming over to see me. He's still on 3 legs and he's right beside me. Hi. Okay, I think my door is suitably grotty. I think I'm happy with it. So let's move on down to our yellow door here. I'm not sure I want to add much more to that. Got cadmium yellow here and Inktense pencils. Yeah, I was thinking just round the door here, like round the handle, and then I feel like these are panes of glass, aren't they? Like, you know, if that was that is really glittery, that's hilarious. I'm just gonna follow the hatch in here. I'm not gonna add any more of this anywhere else. But yeah, this I'm maybe gonna, I don't know if I want to add any more to that. I think what I'll do is I'll take this dark indigo and yeah, I've got it down, diluted it down to almost nothing. It almost looks like a kind of grey colour there, and just kind of like plonk a bit of that in it. I think just to take the white of the paper away more than anything else. It's kind of the plan. See, that's what I was hoping wouldn't happen. This is what happens if you leave things too long with the Inktense. Okay, kind of ruined that bottom pane. That's a shame. It's kind of annoyed me a little bit. Never mind. It'll add character. Right, let's come back up here. We've got our turquoise door. Turquoise. This turquoise is such a fun colour. I really like it. I really like it. So just by lightly tickling the paper and doing not much else, that's what's given me this much lighter variety. And that's kind of what I was hoping for. So I'll do the same here. I'm not even that careful. I'm literally just making sure that there's some pigment going down in the paper and then not caring after that, because it's the water brush that's doing the work here, not the pencil. And these pencils obviously are very high quality, they're very soluble, so your pencil marks are very rarely left behind unless you've pressed down really hard with them, which is what you don't want to do. Okay, so you can see where I was going with that though. Right, so step 3 is what I would call the finishing touches. So most of these doors in this entire image have some sort of latch, catch, knob, knocker. Sounded so wrong. So we want to make sure that we're adding something a little bit extra. Knobs and knockers, so no. We're at gutter level, we're only halfway through the video, we're at gutter level. Sorry. Right, so what I want to do for those finishing touches, which I will leave till the end most likely, is I'm probably going to employ some sort of metallic element. I haven't decided whether that's going to be fine liners, pens, paint. I'll have a little think about that. I'm too early on in this image to really make a decision on that. I've noticed as well there's quite a lot of brickwork going on here. I'm really enjoying this kind of stone arch. So we'll have a little think about what we're, because I was thinking like more of a sandy colour and then some really grotty, again they like look really old doors. Okay, so I'm kind of thinking about that. So back to this side, we've got this little red door here that we need to deal with. This little autumn brown was the colour that we used. I'm trying to find an Inktense pencil that might complement that. I've got a written madder brown maybe. Madder brown is very similar. Let's see if I can find that. So this is really easy because obviously this is meant to be planks. So I'm just following what would be the grain of the wood. And again, just to make it a bit more interesting. See? Instantly more interesting. I kind of want to put a purple door in somewhere, but nothing's standing out at me screaming I need to be a purple door. It's all other sorts of colours that are talking to me. I think what I'm going to do is come over here. I'm kind of being drawn to this this like stonework type part. I've just finished all of the stonework in the page in the ink house that I've been working on. So that's kind of like in my muscle memory just now. And it is the Payne's Grey pencil I've been using for that. Good old Payne's Grey. One of my most used pencils in nearly every set that I own. That and the indigo blue. And sap green, unsurprisingly. Right, so yeah, let's go Payne's Grey here. And I think what I want to do is just put a layer over. See, I'm in at the gutter of the book here, so I'm going to have to turn this round. By the gutter, I mean in at the spine. That's the problem. Because that's quite grey already. And I think what I'll do is I'll just try and accentuate these ropey darker parts, but I'm going to activate this with water this time, and in the other door areas I haven't activated any of it. So when you're doing something like this, if you want to keep it uneven, the first thing you want to do is work in the parts that have got the least pigment in them. So you can see I'm picking them out block by block here. Now the reason we want to do this is if you start in the heavy areas, you're going to pick up the pigment and you're going to drag it about, so you end up with strong pigment everywhere. Whereas if you start in the areas that are really light, they will retain their lightness because you have got less pigment in those areas. So I'm just picking out a couple of these blocks here where I've barely touched the paper with the actual pencil. I think that's most of the lightest ones. And this allows us to keep the variation, you see, but you really need to let these dry for a wee minute. So I've got a couple here that I've got a bit more pigment in them. So I'll go to them next. And it's up to you how much of that pigment you want to carry over. There isn't much here, so I'm quite happy to carry on as I am. But the likes of now, what I want to do is clean the end of my brush off, just get rid of the excess residue and see how that goes. Oh, that's a really dark part there. So you can see what I'm saying, and we've managed to keep some variation in the tone in these bricks here, just because we've selectively placed our water and had a little think about sequence. This part's really dark here, so this is where I'm cleaning my brush off more frequently, because I don't want it to spill into too many of the other bricks. There we go. So we've got a suitably grotty wall here now, in a lovely shade of Payne's Grey. Beautiful. Actually really happy with that. One of the things I love about colouring in Colin Thompson's book is the more that you look at the pictures, the more things you find. I've just found a pair of feet that have worn away the lintel of the top of this door frame and are peeking out underneath the next door up. That's quite funny. That's tickled me for some reason. It's just a pair of feet. Guys, I found my purple door. I knew it would come to me. Now, I really want to use I really want to use the violet Inktense for this. It is very intense though, so I'm not sure how this is going to go. So I am going to... Then this is an interesting point. Here's a tip for you as well for Inktense. See if you are a bit scared or you're not sure how things are going to turn out. You can go cautiously with these. They're not really meant to be gone cautiously with, but you have to find your feet with them at some point. So the violet, if you look at the actual swatch, see this isn't always 100% accurate by the way, but the violet is quite an intense colour. So we don't want to be absolutely destroying everything. That's navy blue, that's not helpful, Gem. Come on now. Next door. Okay, so if I show you the violet here, wow, do you see what I'm saying? That is a really, really dark, intense colour. We want to be around here somewhere. So if that's the way we want it to be, the best thing to do is go in tiny sections and just have it watered down. So very similar to what we did before, but we can add in a little bit more if we're quick while it's still wet. And that lets you have a little bit more control over the intensity. You have to fully trust in the water flow of your brush though. That's one thing I will say. If you've got a really wayward water brush or you don't have the physical control of it yourself, this can be quite difficult. It's just practice. I know I've said that an awful lot this last little while, but it's just the truth. One of the things that someone asked me the other day, I actually thought it would be quite funny to do a live stream on this, and we would call it like a get it off your chest type live stream, like, and talk about our pet peeves. Somebody asked me the other day, what's the one comment that I hate getting that's not a negative comment? And to be fair, I mean, I don't get a lot of negativity at all. You guys are great. But the one comment that really irritates me that I don't see as often now is people coming in and saying, I can't draw, I can't paint, I can't colour, you know, insert whichever part of the artistic process you like into there. It says, I can't do this, I wish I could do it as well as you. That irritates me, just on the basis that I didn't get here by just deciding, well, I'm going to start a YouTube channel one day, and all of a sudden I knew how to use all these pencils, and you know, I figured out all the techniques. 5 years. And for me, especially, the first 2.5 years were very, very intensive because I wanted to learn. This is not talent, this is just hard work. And if you don't have the time to do it, then it'll take you longer, but that's okay. You still get there eventually, and as long as you enjoy it, that's what it's all about. But anyway, I thought that was a really interesting question. A very interesting question to be asked. I hadn't given it much thought up till that point though. Obviously, if you have a natural talent, you know, if you have a knack for things, it's going to be easier in the initial stages to get going because you've got that, you know, little intrinsic part there. But that's nothing that can't be done with hard work either. The thing that I've found that's helped me a lot is I have a very vivid imagination, and because I wrote a lot before I started arting, when it comes to ideas, I am never short of ideas. And the thing is about being a writer, you're still an artist, but it's in your head, because you have to be able to put that idea or that image that's in your head into words on the paper. So because of that, you have to know it quite well, and you have to know the details of it, or else you can't explain it. Whereas with art, you can just draw it and everyone can see it for themselves. Much more difficult with words. And I think that's why when it comes to ideas for things, and another question I get asked quite a lot is, are you ever frightened you're going to run out of ideas? I could never execute all the ideas that I have in 2 lifetimes. Definitely, and I'm never going to run out of video content for that reason as well. And that's something that comes naturally to me. Painting, I am not a painter, you guys know I am not a painter. I am much more a pencil monster, but slowly but surely I am learning, and I would like to think I'm quite versatile with a lot of mediums now, and I've got subscription boxes to thank for that. You know, forcing me into trying stuff. I still wouldn't say I'm a master painter. I don't think I'm a talented painter at all, but I can create an original artwork to a reasonable standard all by myself like a big girl. Anyway, you can see what I was saying about controlling the intensity of these pencils just by watering them down. So the outside frame is a little bit lighter, and it gives this impression that these panels are really recessed in, you know, they're really pushed into the door, and that's just something really straightforward. That was one pencil and a bit of water. That's a great one. We like to keep things simple here, don't we, guys? Okay, so I have a question for you, so some input for next time. This big double door here, you can see there's a door inside a door inside a door. Do we, because this kind of looks wooden, and I think I'm going to keep it wooden, do we have the next door down a lighter version of this, and then the tiny one a lighter version again, or do we have them completely different colours? I would love to hear your thoughts on that, so you can go down into the comments and let me know what you think about that. Because this is, I keep kind of like my eye keeps drifting back to this, obviously because it's a big door, and I'm trying to work out what I want to do with it. I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't know if you can hear the wind or not. This is a really nice day. See, when the weather's like this is my favourite time to film things, because, you know, I'm here with my cup of tea and my pencils, and I'm in the cave and it's nice and cosy. I kind of want... I'm putting this off because I kind of want this to be like a sage green, and I don't have anything that fits the bill, and this paper's not really designed for mixing colours. Like, that's going to tear a hole in the paper, so I'm gonna have to have a rethink on that. I tell you what, I do want to do this garage door here is going to be iron green. What's interesting is when I'm looking at these individually, I'm looking at them, and the first question that's coming to my mind, even if I don't get a colour straight away, is what material is this door made of? And that heavily influences the colour choices I'm making, so that's quite interesting. Do you know what else I would like to know as well, if you want to join in the conversation in the comments? How many of you actually own this colouring book? And how many of you want it? And if you do own it, how many pages have you coloured? I wish I had time to sit and colour in this book, but they're so detailed. Most of them are double, in fact all of them are double page spreads, you know, they're huge, and you know, this is very time consuming. It's such a beautiful book though. So yeah, I would love to know, I'd love to hear from those of you who do actually own this book, and if there is a want for it, because there was a while where it was fairly popular, and that's all kind of died away, but I think it's because the book isn't that easy to get. The last time I looked, in fact, let's double check right now, because I'm pretty sure you can still get it on Amazon. I was just chuckling away to myself as well. I've got an ancient iPad that I've put on eBay just to see if anybody wants it, and I've got a bid for £7.14 on it. Oh, that's funny. Right, okay, so let's have a little look. I might as well give you up-to-date information. Okay, it's not here, but do you know what? I've just seen the Moomin colouring book and the Pocket Moomin colouring book. Oh, I love Moomins. The thing that gets me though is Moomins are white. Just saying. Okay, let's see if we can get it. It's not on Amazon. Interesting. Okay, the German version is on the book depository. Interesting. And that is literally the only listing I can find. Oh, look, there's Secret Garden for $6.99 from a company I've never heard of. That's probably, yeah, okay. No, right, it's not here. So there is also in German on eBay. Yeah, German import, $13.45. Returns accepted. Is it free postage? It's posting from the UK. Yeah, free postage. Okay, there you go. If you don't mind the cover being in German, and I'm assuming the blurb at the back, because there is a little bit about Colin Thompson here, that'll obviously be in German as well. If you don't mind that, you can still get it for £12. I didn't pay anything like that for this, but I've had this book a long time. I think I paid about £7 for it, but that was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. Anyway, so there you go. Not the easiest to get a hold of, as I say. That's probably why we've not seen as much activity around it. And I find that as a YouTuber that colours, that can be a bit of a double-edged sword, because on one hand, people want to see things like this because it's so rare and they want to see the pages finished. But by the same token, you also get people that will not watch because they don't own the book and they can't colour it themselves. So that could go either way. I think I might want that a little bit darker than that. The iron green. I'll need to let that dry a wee bit. We'll see how it goes. I really like how this purple one's turned out though, that's made me really happy. Easily pleased. There's a lot of these like standard 4-panel type doors. Let's see how many of those we can find that don't have anything else on them. There's 1 there, 2, 3. That one's got a cat flap, that doesn't count. 4, 5. So they've obviously been used as filler doors. Burnt yellow ochre. Let's make one of them burnt yellow ochre. I like that idea. So a different approach here. We're just going to go for it with the all over approach. That's actually quite an attractive shade. I like that a lot. There we go. And what we'll do is once that's dry, we'll go in with pencil to do the panels. Because that's fun. This guy's feet, I can't get over these feet. It's funny. I think I want this safe to be Payne's Grey as well. That's really boring, isn't it? I can keep lifting that, but look. Depositing it elsewhere. Sorry, Mr. Crow, you're kind of in the way. I kind of want this bit to be dark so that I can have it much lighter around the outside. Gonna have to go quick here. Should have probably had the bigger brush for this, but never mind. Oh, yo, yo. Whose idea was that? Oh, there's a devil tail there. Like a little fork tail. I didn't notice that either. Oh, this is what I'm saying. Like, you keep looking, you keep finding stuff. I wish I had something exciting to talk to you about, but I really don't have anything to talk to you about today. I have done nothing exciting. I cleaned my house at the weekend. Like, that's literally as exciting as my life is just now, which I'm totally and utterly completely happy with, because after the events of the last nearly 3 months, 2 months, sorry, I am perfectly happy for nothing to happen and for life to be absolutely so and utterly completely boring. Yes, please, thank you very much. Okay, I am going to stop there just now. No, I'm not. What colour was that? The burnt yellow ochre. Golden yellow. Okay, I'm going to grab the sienna gold pencil if I can find it. Oh, there's mustard. Let's use mustard instead. That's actually what I was looking for in the first place. Yes, so in here, just make this look a little bit more recessed. Better. Oh, I'm dropping pencils everywhere. Oh no. Maybe I'll have more exciting things to talk about the next time we come and colour in this page. I am going to try and put out at least one of these a week. Now that we are onto something that's going to be a bit more lengthy, shall we say. We'll get going with that. Okay, so I think we'll stop there. That's a good enough place as any to stop. So we've managed 1, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 6, 7. We managed 8 doors today. I think this is going to be quite the undertaking. What I will say is, and I remember doing it last time, so it was a long time since I've coloured that last page. I will probably demonstrate a section of the wooden frame at some point and then finish the rest of that off camera, because that's something, obviously, it's rather large and it's going to be quite repetitive, and that's something that we don't really need to worry about. So when we come back next time, I will await your answers about what to do down here. I'll probably have made a decision on what I want to do about the metallic elements by that point as well, and we'll pick up and we shall decorate some more doors. So thanks very much for coming and hanging out today, guys. Remember to check out the stash shop today. There are some used items for sale and they are up for grabs over on the website, which is this one here. And I will see you all back in the cave on Sunday for another video. So have a great day, everyone. Bye bye for now.